This is the Chat City interviews from 103.2 Preston FM.
Okay, so the Dublin Legends. I just played a track from the Dubliners, but the Dublin Legends are coming to Preston and to Southport. So for our listeners in Preston and Southport, you'll be able to go along and see them. And on the phone right now, I've got Sean Cannon. So Sean, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, sir.
Lovely to speak to you. It was nice. It was nice to play that track then, Whiskey in the Jar. It was lovely to hear that again. And I've been looking at some of the press reports that you're getting. The audience were still tapping their feet and attempting an Irish jig as they left the seats to go home. So said the Daily Echo. So tell us about the Dublin Legends, because you are formally the Dubliners. Am I right, Sean?
Yeah, well, I played in the Dubliners for 30 years. They have a 50-year history. The group came together and made their first shows in 1962. And in 2012, the 50th year, unfortunately, Barney McKenna, the banjo player and great character, he passed away in April 2012.
Right.
So then we had all our commitments till the end of the year with appearances at home and abroad, and we said John was shocked. You know, John is the last surviving member now of the original Dubliners. It was a bit of a shock to him because all his former colleagues then had passed away. So what are we going to do? Well, we said we'd better honour our commitments to the fans and the promoters abroad and at home, and that's what we did.
Right.
But in the intervening time, John decided he was going to retire after almost 50 years on the go.
Wow.
And that's what happened. But the rest of us then decided, well, among ourselves, well, we wouldn't retire, we'd carry on and continue the process. But the name, we have a name change. From the Dubliners to the Dublin Legends. So that's, to all intents and purposes, we're continuing the tradition, as it were.
Right.
And being the repertoire which made the Dubliners famous. But having said that, we're also doing a few new items, which is a departure from the norm, what was established as the Dubliners. You've played Whiskey in the Jar, we still do that one. We wouldn't get away with a night without doing that.
No, I'm sure you wouldn't get away without doing that one.
No, that's how we finished the evening with a few rousing numbers like that. And so here we are, we're into our second year as the Legends now. This is, we did one concert in Dublin at the end of December, just before New Year.
Yeah. And
that completed all our commitments to 2013. Now we're starting on the 23rd of February with our 2014 round of concerts in England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, and Europe, of course. We go back to the same places year after year, especially in Germany and Scandinavia. Same venues, and we meet the same people.
Yeah.
And a few new ones, and usually, surprising as it might sound, our audience are mostly in Germany, they're Germans.
Wow.
And in Scandinavia, they're Scandinavians. We get some English-speaking people as well, and some Irish emigres, but they're usually the local population.
Right.
Want to see us, surprisingly.
So who's in the Dublin Legends these days with you then, Sean?
Well, apart from myself, I did 30 years of Dubliners, and Eamon Campbell did a quarter of a century. I did nearly a third of a century. He did a quarter of a century. And Patsy Watchhorn hasn't yet done a decade with us, but he's been there for a good number of years now. And we have a newer member. He's only a stripling. He's only in his 50s. To us, he looks like a young boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we are now just on the verge. Well, I am certainly. I'm over 70. I'm 74 at the end of this year.
Wow.
And the other two members, Eamon Campbell, the guitarist, and Patsy Watchorn, singer, banjo player. They're just just touching 70. So three of us are 210 years together. No, 210, yeah, 210 years.
210. Wow, that's some going, Sean. How do you? I'm sure then when you go to Scandinavia and Germany and how does the touring? Do you go out running every day before a show to keep fit?
Oh no, we go to bed. In our respective rooms.
With a drop of Ovaltine, I suppose.
That's how we energize in bed, yeah.
And I would imagine, though, keeping the music alive. I mean, I remember the end of the 60s and 70s, whenever the Dubliners were on television, the music is just infectious. I would imagine that when you go on stage, the place is just, for a couple of hours, just erupts.
Yes. Well, we arrive at a place, we may have travelled for 3 or 4 or 5 hours in a bus, and then we have to get a rest, check in at the hotel, and then it's out to sound check for 6 o'clock usually is the departure time for the sound check, and we're in the theatre until midnight, so it's 6 hours in the theatre, and that's daily routine.
Yeah.
It isn't easy, but we do it, and we still enjoy it, I have to say.
Yeah,
we're glad to be able to do it.
And that's the main thing. And as you say, you still do the whiskey in the jar, a lot of the music of the Dubliners. And did you say you've also got some new music these days? I mean, is it Irish music? What is the new content?
It's mainly Irish music, but we approach it with a kind of a rock. For instance, Dirty Old Town. We're doing that now with a kind of a rock rhythm.
Right.
And it works very well, and it's well received.
Yeah.
People are surprised by it, you see, and they don't think that because we play mainly Irish music, that's our only interest. But for myself, I'm a rock and roll fan since I was a teenager in the 50s. And when I saw that Phil Everly died last week, it was sad for me because I remembered the Everly brothers when they were youngsters. I was a teenager. They must have started very young because Phil Everly was 74 when he died, and that's the same age as me. So they were performing in the 50s, so they were only teenagers themselves at that time. So I'm also interested in the great tenors. John McCormack, the great Irish tenor, and Caruso, and my mother was a big fan of Geely and Caruso, and she used to buy the old shellac 78s and play them on a wind-up gramophone, and I remember all that as a child. 40s. Well, last year was a big deal for the Dubliners. 2012, I'm talking about last year now. It's 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And when John decided to retire, but we had a big appearance at a sellout at the Royal Albert Hall. That was a very memorable night.
I'm sure.
And then we appeared on the Jules Holland show. That was a great experience too. So we went out with a bang, as it were, and we're back again now. And
you also got a Lifetime Achievement Award at BBC Radio 2 Folk Awards.
We did in Manchester, at the Lowry Centre.
Yeah.
That was a nice night too. Yeah. There was 2 other people that received awards. June Tabor received an award, and so did the Canadian singer who sang Vincent, Starry, Starry Night. Don McLean.
Yes, yeah.
He also received a reward on the same evening. So that was another memorable night.
And now we've got you coming up to Preston and then to Southport. You're at the Charter Theatre in Preston on Tuesday the 25th. And and at the Atkinson in Southport, I don't know if you've been to the Atkinson before. It's a really, really nice venue in Southport on Lord Street.
The Atkinson, yes, I got that here in the list. I've not been to the Atkinson before. Well, I've been to Southport. I used to work there in the 70s to the folk club.
Yes.
When I was travelling around to all the folk clubs as a solo performer back in the 70s.
And I'm sure you must have you appeared at the Charter Theatre here in Preston before?
Sorry?
Have you been to the Charter Theatre in Preston before? Have you appeared?
Never, no.
No? So this will be your first time also in Preston then? Hello? He's disappeared. We've got gremlins on the line. He's disappeared from me. So there we are. You'll be able to see them. So I would like to thank Sean there for talking to me. It's the Dublin Legends, formerly the Dubliners, and they're at the Charter Theatre in Preston on Tuesday the 25th. And then they're at the Atkinson in Southport on Sunday the 2nd. So a big thank you to Sean, and why not go along and support them? I'm sure both nights, Preston and Southport, will be brilliant nights to go along and see the Dubliners, or the Dublin Legends as they're now known.
103.2 Preston FM.
Your community.
Your radio.